Today's incident has been sent to us by a young man from the city of Austin, Texas, whose name is Ethan. However, this incident was not heard from Ethan's own mouth. Rather, we have come to know about it through the statement of one of his close friends.
Texas means vast ranches or farmhouses, each located several miles away from the next. Last year, during summer vacation, Ethan went to an abandoned old farmhouse of his grandfather to spend some time alone. The place was just outside of El Paso, where nothing but dusty deserts and deserted wilderness meets the eye. When Ethan arrived there, the house was covered in dust, and a strange silence prevailed all around. Even in that scorching Texas afternoon, the inside of the house was somehow unnaturally cold. As he was packing his belongings, he noticed a yellowed envelope lying on that old oak table in the living room. The envelope looked very old, as if no one had touched it for decades. Out of curiosity, as soon as Ethan opened the envelope, a handwritten letter came out from inside. The date of the letter was June 1962. There was no sender's name on it, only the recipient's place was written, to the one who will be the next inhabitant of this house. The content of the letter was extremely surprising and mysterious. It was written there, "After sunset, do not move the curtains of any window in this house. If someone knocks from outside, do not open the door even by mistake, because in this wilderness of Texas, no human walks at night." Ethan thought maybe his grandfathers had left this letter to play a prank or to scare him. He laughed off the letter without giving it much importance, and after having dinner at night, he started preparing to sleep. But when the night grew deep, and the howling of wolves began to be heard in that lonely wilderness of Texas, right then Ethan felt someone was standing on the other side of his room's window. Through the bottom of the window curtain, he saw a pair of long shadows, which, elongated by the moonlight, had entered into the room. At that moment, Ethan remembered that warning from the letter. His heart began to throb inside his chest. He realized he was not alone at all in this deserted farmhouse. What was written in the letter was not just a joke, but was a terrifying, real warning, which he had ignored. Suddenly, a scratchy sound was heard from outside the house, as if someone was scratching the wooden wall with nails. Ethan was sitting stiffly on the bed then, wondering if he had opened the door then, what would have happened. When that sound of scratching nails on the wooden wall reached Ethan's ears, his whole body became numb with fear. There was no one to help at that time in that lonely farmhouse of Texas. Ethan sat perfectly still on the bed. His gaze was on that mysterious letter, which was still lying on the table. Suddenly, that old landline phone in the drawing room rang out. In this digital age, where everyone uses smartphones, that rotary phone from the 1960s ringing was an impossible thing. Even that house did not have any active telephone line. Ethan thought maybe some friend was scaring him, but in this deep night and in this uninhabited desert, it was impossible. He gathered courage and went out of the room towards the living room. In the darkness, he saw the receiver of the phone was shaking on its own. As soon as he picked up the phone, not a human voice from the other side, but a kind of heavy sigh and the whistling sound of wind floated in. Then, in an extremely familiar yet mechanical voice, someone spoke up. "Ethan, why did you open the window? They have seen." Ethan was startled because he had not moved any window curtains. Just then, his gaze went to the huge window at the end of the corridor. The curtain was flying in the wind, yet he was sure he had kept all the windows closed. In that silvery moonlight of Texas outside the window, what Ethan saw would surpass any human imagination. Right in the middle of the farmhouse, numerous gray-colored figures were standing like mist.
They have no faces, only long individual figures. In folklore, they are called skinwalkers or shadow people. Ethan saw those figures were slowly approaching towards the house. At that very moment, all the lights in the house went out on their own. In the pitch darkness, Ethan could only hear the whispering of those ethereal souls. They were as if trying to enter inside by piercing the walls. Ethan quickly turned on his phone's flashlight and saw on that old mirror hanging on the wall right in front of him, instead of his own reflection, someone else's shadow had surfaced. That shadow was looking at Ethan and laughing hideously. The phone fell from Ethan's hand in fear. From the telephone receiver, that dead man-like voice was still screaming, "Run, Ethan! They have entered inside!" Right then, the heavy wooden door of the living room shook violently once, as if someone from outside was pushing to break it down. When that huge oak wood door of the living room shook with immense force, Ethan realized this lonely farmhouse is no longer his refuge, rather it has turned into a death trap. From the other side of the phone, that mechanical voice was still screaming, "Run, Ethan! They have entered inside!" But where to run? Beyond every window of the house, those tall, gray figures were standing on guard. When Ethan tried to look at the corridor with his phone's flashlight, his gaze fell once again on that old mirror hanging on the wall. This time, what was happening inside the mirror, Ethan's blood ran cold seeing it. Inside the mirror, that old farmhouse looked completely different, as if it had gone back to that time of 1962. Inside the mirror, Ethan saw an old man sitting at that very table writing a letter, the letter that he had found a while ago. Even though that old man's face looked like Ethan's grandfather, his two eyes were completely white. Suddenly, that old man inside the mirror raised his head and looked directly at Ethan. He extended his hand and began trying to come out by piercing through the glass of the mirror. The glass began to ripple like a liquid substance. Ethan tripped while trying to step back. Right then, the temperature inside the house rose unnaturally. That loo wind of the desert began to blow inside the room. When that hand coming out of the mirror gripped Ethan's shirt collar, then he felt an intense burnt smell. That invisible power wanted to pull him towards the darkness of the mirror. Ethan desperately lit the lighter in his pocket and set fire to that mysterious letter lying in front of him. As soon as the letter burnt to ashes, an unhuman scream echoed throughout the whole house. The mirror shattered into pieces with a thunderous sound, and those gray figures vanished with the wind. The pushing on that door outside stopped instantly. Ethan saw the first light of dawn peeping on the Texas horizon. Without delaying for another moment, he got into his car and started it, and began to drive like crazy towards Austin City. Later, when Ethan started searching through his grandfather's old diaries, he came to know a terrifying truth. Why his grandfathers had abandoned this farmhouse, the reason was written there. In 1958, in that area, a cult had performed some forbidden rituals, as a result of which the mirrors of that house had turned into a portal or an entrance to another world. Ethan realized what he had seen that night was not just ghosts, but a cursed truth lost in the depths of time. Even today, whenever Ethan stands in front of any mirror, he shudders in fear, lest that white-eyed old man again pulls him towards the darkness.
So friends, how did you like this terrifying incident? Do let us know by commenting. Your opinions help us to improve our next videos further. That is all for today. We'll see you again very soon with a new hair-raising incident. If you are new to our channel, then subscribe right now and stay with us by giving a like to the video.
Because your every like and subscription encourages us to find out more terrifying true incidents and to bring them before you. If you have any experience of a true incident, then definitely let us know. You can send that story of yours to our email or to our Facebook page.